Animal rescue often sounds like an heroic job, like you have always be seen as a lifesaver. But is that really the truth? If you ever wonder what being a rescuer is actually like, this episode is for you. Today, I am joined by Nandita Subbarao, an animal welfare activist who have been working for years to make life of stray animals better. We discussed about what it really takes to be a rescuer, how civic are involved, and a few shocking stories that really shook me. Along with that, we also discussed important topics like the problems caused by the unscientific methods of feeding stray, rabies prevention, vaccination, sterilization, and much more in great detail. These were eye-openers for me, and I'm pretty sure this conversation will bring a lot of value to you. So, without further delay, let's get into this insightful conversation with Nandita. Welcome to another episode of Pets Are Family, and today I have a very special guest, a special request from our team to bring her to the show. Welcome Nandita. Nandita is also known as Sanjay Gandhi of Sanjay Nagar. And Nandita, why don't you introduce yourself in less than a minute?
Hi Anil, thanks for having me here. So I'm Nandita Subbarao. And yes, the reason I'm called Sanjay Gandhi of Sanjay Nagar is we all remember how active Sanjay Gandhi was with population control of human beings. And I do that, but with dogs, mainly with street dogs, but also I encourage a lot of people to get their pet dogs sterilized, and hence the nickname, because I just said, somebody said you're like Sanjay Gandhi, and then somebody said you live in Sanjay Nagar, so you're the Sanjay Gandhi of Sanjay Nagar.
Nice.
So, well, yeah, I have a background. I studied architecture, worked as an architect, then worked in software, worked in a bank. I've been through many things, but it's been about 10 years since I quit all those jobs. And I've been full-time into mainly focusing on sterilizing and vaccination of street dogs. Because the goal is to ultimately bring down their number and keep them safe for the community. So the actual goal is, people see this as animal welfare. It's not actually so much animal welfare. It's being done for the welfare of human beings, because we want to see fewer dogs and we want them all to be vaccinated so that rabies doesn't spread. So yeah, I mean, I've been in all these various jobs, but I think this has been the most satisfying in the last 10 years I've been doing this. So that's about me. And as you know, I live in Sanjay Nagar. In addition to, of course, sterilizing and all that, we always do end up with a few rescue requests and all that. And yeah, that's also part of the game. Adoptions, we do a few of those as well. So I'll talk about that later.
Awesome. From architecture to technology to working in corporate, then quitting everything and doing something so meaningful. How did you get into this? What's the story behind?
Everybody has a story. Yes. So, yeah, mine was quite by accident, because I quit my job in 2015, and I was just out on my morning walk one day in 2016, and I noticed the park worker trying to use a lasso and catch hold of one of the friendly dogs. So I said, "Kya kar rahe ho?" And he said, "No, we have an order that we have to remove all the dogs." So I said, "Why?" He said, "No, because we've been told the association, they poop and they dirty the place." I said, "Wait a minute, people have lots of big pet dogs here. What about that?" So then he said, "I don't know. We don't know what to do." But as it happened, I panicked. But my mom happened to have the phone number of some guy. She had just saved it as Dog Anurag. And we didn't even know who he was. She contacted him. And it turned out he was an animal welfare officer. We didn't know that at that time. Wow. He said, "Do you know it's against the rules?" We said, "No, what rules?" Till then I'd just been working in the corporate world. I didn't even know about all this stuff. We had got dogs done. My mom used to see those Cupa things, and we got dogs sterilized from 99 onwards. But there used to be very few dogs in those days. Then he said, "Do you have any clue this is against the rules?" And then he said, "There is an animal welfare board rule, and it's been in place since 2001. So then we all got talking, and then I spoke to the colony people, and then I said, "Listen," and then he pointed out, if you remove one, you will have a new one coming in its place. Make sure you sterilize and manage what you have. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. So then that's how I got started on the whole thing. Then I made sure, started walking quarter-kilometer radius outside the colony, half-kilometer radius outside the colony, kept on and on looking for dogs and getting them all sterilized. So that's how I got started on it in 2016.
In 2016?
Yeah.
Wow. And do you have pets at home?
Yeah, in fact, two of my street dogs, which used to be right there at the time this whole drama happened, they were very young, boisterous dogs in those days. Actually, my old place was also not very far from Sanjay Nagar. When I moved, I brought them with me, and now they're my pet dogs. And I'm sure right now, at the moment, they must be happily sleeping on my bed. So they're both close to 14 years old now.
14 years,
Yeah,
wow.
but they're going strong.
So how does your day look like? I heard your mom is also involved in it. Your mom is 80 years old.
Yes.
And she's actively helping you out with
Yes.
rescuing.
Yeah, my mom is 80. I'm myself 57.
Wow.
And yes, she in fact comes with me. Even the last 2 nights, in fact, we've been looking for a blind old dog, that obviously was discarded. And we've been hunting for him. Yesterday also she joined me because it's very hard to find people at a moment's notice. The only one very reliable person who will come along is mom, for sure. So we've had cases, people report a dog in distress, a dog trapped somewhere under a gutter, or a dog that you have to catch, you can't catch her otherwise, bottle, head stuck in a biscuit, in a bottle, plastic jar, whatever, that kind of stuff. Mom is the one, she is like the strategy planner actually while catching a terrorist. She will go look at all the places where the dog may escape. She will go to the nearest kabaddi fellow and look for pieces of plywood that she can find to block that gutter opening. And she'll say, ಇವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಓಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಇವಾಗ ಹೊರಗೇನೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. She'll tell you very confidently. That's how we caught one of the dogs, in fact. She was she was in a gutter. And recently, actually, we had a case, a dog with a huge maggot wound over here. It was stinking. And somebody contacted me at night. We hadn't been able to find him for a week before that. So we went. And she held him down. And I cleaned up the wound and all that. And now he's all fine.
But how do you get to know about there is a dog which needs help?
Okay, I think
Is there a system in place, or is it purely...
Yes, but in our area, we have some 2 or 3 local animal groups. Okay. So
WhatsApp groups, right?
Yeah, WhatsApp. Usually in my area, anything to do with animals, I think people generally contact me as well. I'm the go-to person for animals, especially dogs and all that. In the whole of Sanjay Nagar, I think everybody, right? When I say Sanjay Nagar, I mean starting from Ashwath Nagar right up to Bhupsandra, which is quite a long stretch. I think it's about 3 kilometers or whatever, but everybody there, and right up to New BL Road. I think everybody knows me. Now I'm covering Matikere as well, partly. So I've started trying to make friends with some of the dogs.
20% of Bangalore. You were also a ward member, right?
When the old BBMP system, now it's become GBA, Greater Bangalore Authority. But I was made a ward member in December 2020. And I think the whole thing was sunset recently. So now I'm not really a ward member. I don't think the ward member concept exists right now. But So which is why that's another reason people know me, because we also have ward groups. And so I'm very active in those ward groups as well. So I think pretty much anything to do with animals generally comes to my notice first.
My question is, how does your day look? Like as a software engineer, like working in a corporate world, right? I'm sure that was a very templated days, right?
Yeah.
Now how does your day look?
Yeah, exactly. There isn't a typical day. That's the point. Except that I generally try to make sure my dogs are walked, in the morning. And then I take up stuff. I take up stuff only after my dogs have been walked, usually.
How many dogs do you have?
2. The same 2 that used to be my streeties near my old place. They're both close to 14 now. Yeah, so other than that, after they've been fed and all that, then I usually attend to stuff after 10:30 in the morning. There's always something or the other to be done, because we have... So for example, like that maggot dog I talked about, treated, you have to go give him medicines, for a few days. You have to keep spraying. So this whole thing takes about 3 weeks. So every day you have to keep going back and following up.
So you go to where the dog is and you treat them?
Yeah, I treat them at the spot. Sometimes I do bring them home. I have fostered. I fostered many dogs in the past, actually. There was one whose the owners had the caretakers had deliberately smashed his legs because they had colis at home and they didn't want him to run after the colis. So I happened to spot him one day because he barked when I was going past. And then I got him treated. I went to the veterinary hospital. This was in 2018, I think. And I took him to the veterinary hospital, had a splint fitted, and I kept him with me for over a month till it healed. And then he got adopted. So that kind of stuff happens as well. So there's a lot of... work to be done at home as well when you're fostering, and then you have to keep cleaning up. And then recently, last year, I had a dog with cancer. She was with me for about 3 to 4 weeks. So, so there's nothing really typical, but I do try to do as much as possible during the day, because at night, it's very hard to get help. the only choices are a fancy private veterinary hospital, which is extremely expensive because it breaks the bank. Whereas if you can go to a place like the government hospital or Cupa Care somewhere, then you pay next to nothing. Whatever you do, even X-rays, everything is very cheap at these places compared to the private ones. So I generally try to use these services. I very, very rarely use any private clinics, which is why on a very small budget, I'm able to manage quite a few cases. But of course, boarding is expensive. Boarding is a very expensive affair, which is why fostering obviously helps.
Yes, okay. So to the viewers, just before we could start the show, she was instructing a mom to go to the other end of the city to rescue a dog. With 80 years old woman must be traveling now.
No, not other. On Bellary Road. That same blind old dog that I was talking about. As I was coming here to your studio, the auto guy was really whizzing as he took a turn. I suddenly spotted the dog. 2 nights and a day we'd been hunting for him, we couldn't find him, but suddenly I just found him. And I said, of all days, it had to happen today. But anyway, good luck that we found him. Right now, as we speak, she has reached the spot and she's keeping an eye on the dog and he's going to be picked up.
Nice. Hats off to your mom. So, how should civic authorities support rescuers?
Okay, so yes, it'll be great if they do. Actually, they did start. They set up a BBMP set up. I don't know about other civic authorities. I think it's practically non-existent. But BBMP did start a rescue service recently for various zones. So they had different NGOs who were going to pick up cases for different zones and treat them. Within limits, of course, it depends on how bad the case is, and it should not be a communicable thing like CD and all that. Canine distemper, which spreads very easily.
What is it called? Canine?
Canine distemper. You'll probably see dogs with a chewing gum jaw sometimes, or a head like shaking, bobbing, or throbbing here, or you'll see them like that, chewing gum jaw, it's called, or they have a tongue sticking out or teeth sticking out. All those are canine distemper survivors. So it's at the time, so those are all survivors. They've all survived it and the virus is no longer active. But when it is active, it's very contagious. If a dog is not vaccinated, it just spreads through the air and the dog can catch it quite easily.
Oh, wow.
So such cases, obviously, they won't take. But otherwise, BBMP had a rescue thing. In fact, recently, we had a case near our place where a dog was abused. He was constantly tied. There was a drunkard owner who didn't know what to do with him, tied him to the windowsill for 8 months. So the poor dog, and then he was getting very skinny, and naturally he had also become a little aggressive and cranky. So at that time, when it was still BBMP, there was this NGO called Samarpan Foundation, which was assigned to our area. They picked him up and nursed him back to health, and now he's been sterilized, and he's going to be released, I think, probably tomorrow. So
it's still not a punishable offense, right?
See, this is the sad part. We have that 50 rupee fine and all that.
50 rupees only for tying a dog for 8 months and abusing it?
Yeah, 50 rupees. Yeah, and I think that's also even just for killing. I think for torturing, there's nothing, I think. It's, the Cruelty Act is a little strange. It's only about, it says abandonment also, even abandonment. Only if you put it in a position where it cannot get food or water, then it is considered abandonment. Otherwise, if you're just dumping it somewhere where it can get food and water, then technically it's not abandonment. What nonsense is this? So, we really need much, much tighter laws. We need mandatory microchipping for each and every pet. Then we won't have half these problems. Most of our rescues, the biggest problems with our rescues are these pedigreed dogs. Pedigreed. Great Dane, Husky, Golden Retriever, German Shepherd. Labs, of course, labs, I've lost count how many we have. So we've had Dobermans, we had back-to-back 2 Dobermans. So this is the kind of stuff we grapple with. And treating big dogs and all that, it's an expensive affair. They're bulky dogs, you can't always handle them. If it's an Indie, okay, I'll foster it at home. But I can't handle these big dogs. So it's a huge challenge. People will stop discarding them if they're microchipped. Most people, when they want to get a pet dog, they always, even pet cats, in fact, everybody wants a Persian cat. And pet dogs, of course, everybody wants a breed. Nobody wants a plain Indie. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting a certain breed and all that, but there are a couple of big problems. One is that these breeds are delicate by nature because they've been bred in order to become like that, to get those qualities and those characteristics. So by nature, they're a little more delicate. On top of it, with the breeding industry that we have today, most of them are backyard breeders, or what they call puppy mills. Basically, they crank them out. They get the mother pregnant, sell the puppies, get rid of all of them at 21 days, and immediately get her ready for the next cycle. So the poor mother, By the time she's 3 years old, she looks like she's 15 years old. And then they throw her out on the road. They discard her. And the puppies, because they have crossed mother and son, father and daughter, brother, sister, whatever, gradually, it's like inbreeding. It is inbreeding, basically. So gradually, if there are any defects, they all get amplified. So this is why you start having dogs even at a young age. They have heart problems, they have hip dysplasia, they have all this, so it's basically bad stock. And then what happens? The people who buy the dog, they get very upset. Then they look around. After a while, they don't know what to do. They discard the dog. And these are the kinds that we get. We end up with all these cases. The dogs with, all kinds of tumors and all kinds of hip dysplasia, of course, extremely common. We had one, he looked like he was shitting all the time when he walked, poor guy, because of his hip dysplasia. So we have all these cases.
But how do you find out as a pup, right, that it has all this? There is no history.
It is hard. It is hard, which is why I think you should do your research on whom you get it from in the first place. In general, if you buy from any of these backyard breeders, I think the first question you should ask is, tell the guy, hey, I want to see how you keep your dogs. How do you keep the mother and father? Let's see.
You think pet parents should visit the kennel?
If they do that, nobody will ever buy any of them, I can tell you, because the conditions are so shabby, and you will realize they have kept their breeding, a blind mother, poor thing, just kept there just for breeding. She's just a puppy mill, that kind of thing. If you see that, you will take a guess that all the diseases in the world must be there. Half of them don't even vaccinate their dogs. These breeders, we had a case, Chikbalapur case, where the family that bought the German Shepherd puppy, the boy died of rabies because the puppy had rabies. Puppy's mother had rabies. It got it from its mother. Breeder just left town. He was in Chikbalapur. The breeder just ran away, of course. The poor boy died. He was studying engineering in Bangalore, 2022.
Wow, was it in the news?
Yeah, it was in the news. It's there also, even somewhere you can find an article. We actually tried very hard to reach the family for comment, but they were so upset and I guess embarrassed at the whole thing. They had not even realized. They thought it was a play bite. And the boy ignored it, and the brother is a doctor. They never realized, because breeder said, "Ella vaccinate agide, parvagilla." So they had no clue. They didn't know you can't even vaccinate a puppy. The vaccination will not work when you vaccinate the puppy at 20 days. It won't even work. It's a lie. He has not even vaccinated the mother. How will he vaccinate the puppy? So, and then they realized that the mother had died. And then they figured out, because the breeder ran away, then they realized what had happened. But it's really sad. But we've had cases like this. I personally know a doctor couple living in a very, very fancy area in Bangalore, whose German Shepherd died of rabies. So we were too busy. We didn't realize that we had to vaccinate, and that's all.
But how do you identify an ethical breeder? They say we have a KCA certificate, and just now you mentioned there is another.
KCA is only a kennel club certification. It doesn't actually mean that it's an authorization to have it. You actually need an AWBI certification, Animal Welfare Board.
AWBI,
Animal Welfare Board of India. They have, in fact, if you Google it, I can send you the link. They have a 7-page extensive document on a checklist. You're supposed to apply to AWBI and get your certification from them before you can run your practice.
But will they come and check the kennel?
They are supposed to. They will. If you're provided you apply, who will apply? In the whole of Karnataka, there are 2 licensed breeders. 2 licensed breeders in the whole of Karnataka. One in Devanahalli and one in Mysore.
Is that how?
Yes. I recently asked one of the KAWB, Karnataka Animal Welfare Board members as well. She confirmed there are only 2. She says, apply madila yaru.
So they don't take any legal action on the rest of the people?
Nothing. See, now this is the problem. This is exactly like traffic offenders. How many people are you going to go after? It's a lot of work, and they're all like the mafia, they have a lot of goondas. If you go after them and all that, they'll threaten you and this kind of thing. So they'll find out who reported the case first of all. If they know, they will look at the angle. Now, if somebody has taken a photo, if I take a photo of the breeder's den there, from the angle of the photo, he can make out I have taken the picture. Because the authorities will show it to him and nodi hig martidirante. Then he'll say, you like tegdidala? Okay, fine, I'll go after you. So people are scared to report it, and nobody wants to take action, because then the biggest problem is, even if you confiscate all the dogs, where are you going to put them? This is another big problem. Where are you going to put all the dogs? So these are all the big problems. But yeah, if somebody is AWBI certified, I think you can take a good guess that the stock will be good. And those are legal, ethical breeders. But the rest, it's very, very hard to say. It's, half the people will get lucky, but others won't. And the other thing to remember is, have you noticed everybody gets only a male pup, right? Everybody buys only a male pup. What happens to all the females? Has anybody ever thought about it?
Breeding.
No, not all of them are kept for breeding. They're just put down or they're discarded. So we find a lot of them just we find some of them discarded, but they don't always discard because somebody else will pick it up and become a breeder. He'll become your competitor tomorrow. One of the breeders openly told me, he said, we have no choice. It doesn't work out for me. I cannot keep the female. He said, simple as that.
Do you get threatened calls?
Not of late. Not of late. I have got in the past. I have got, of course. But there was a terrible case once, a lab wandering, and so the rescuer contacted me, and the rescuer was a Muslim. So he said he couldn't keep it in his house. His neighbor said, oh, beautiful dog, I'll keep it, very sweet dog. So I just contacted this guy and told him, hey, listen, I just want to check, can I get the dog neutered, vaccinated, everything. So he gave me the number of the neighbor. Neighbor says, actually, he was very boisterous. My kids loved him, but we couldn't manage him. So I passed him on to another neighbor of mine. A young chap, very, he's so sweet. He doesn't have any money, low income fellow, but still he has rented a shed and kept very many nice breed dogs with him. So sweet. Then I asked for that guy's number. That guy was furious. Yaro, yake, and all that stuff. He got very angry. And then after that, he kept all the dogs, including this one, locked up in his shed. Finally,
did you visit the place?
Sorry, no, I didn't visit that place. But the first guy who reported it to me, he went there and he was furious. He told the second guy, he said, hey, listen, I gave it to you. You said your family loved him. Why did you give it to somebody else? And then he went at 3 o'clock at night. And fortunately, because the lab, being a lab, was that wow kind screaming, the guy couldn't manage it. The breeder let him out. That time, this guy kidnapped him, brought him in the auto, kept him at his place, came to my place at 8 o'clock in the morning. After that, he got loads of threatening calls. I got calls, but he got the real threats. Me, not so much the threats, but and all that stuff. I felt like telling him, your dog is going to be of no use to you anymore because I finished neutering him. So, but yeah, it happens. And we get also very weird kinds of threats and complaints. There was a case of an cranky old lady who was, 82 years old, dying of cancer. We knew she had only a few weeks or months to live. She had a blind street dog, very young blind street dog she'd been hit by a car and become blind. And auntie couldn't care for her. My friend wanted to adopt her. Auntie, no, nothing doing. I don't care. She is mine. She's on the street. So what do you mean mine? I said, auntie, I'm getting her a safe space. No, nothing doing. And she refused. So finally, I wrote to Mrs. Menaka Gandhi's office and got BBMP's permission, got Mrs. Menaka Gandhi AWBI's permission. There's a form also to fill out. I filled it out for adoption. And I just went and kidnapped the dog one day. That's it. In broad daylight at 10 o'clock in the morning, just kidnapped the dog. That's it. Then got her blood test done, got her vaccinated, and she was already spayed. And then my friend
pays for all this expense?
Oh, we do. We do.
All your personal money?
Yeah, but in my case, I do have a group of very supportive friends. Nice. So all of us have pooled in funds. So every year people put in like 3K, 2K, whatever they want to.
Very nice.
And we use those funds. I also maintain a spreadsheet, a very, very exhaustive spreadsheet. Every penny accounted for, who gave, what on which date, outflow, what purpose, what is the balance, everything. And I circulate it to everybody a couple of. So to answer your question about the funds, what we do is, fortunately, I'm very fortunate. There are many rescuers actually just pay from their own pockets. But I'm very fortunate. Right from the time we got started in 2017 with the fund, I was fortunate to have a few neighbors and friends and all that pooling in. So even now that's been going on. And this was in my previous area. When I moved to Sanjay Nagar, we were working on COVID, I was coordinating for the vaccination. I was putting out the updates. And some guy he and I were coordinating on oximeters, and I told him about this. He said, come on, here's seed capital of 1,000 rupees. Start a fund for Sanjay Nagar also. So now I maintain a separate fund for the Sanjay Nagar dogs and one for my previous area. But gradually, I don't know, this is the funny thing. I didn't even ask anybody. I don't know how somebody just came to my doorstep and then somebody else gave 2,000. Somebody else gave 2,000. This is how the fund just grew.
Is it like an yearly fund or for the cause? For the particular pet?
There's nothing even yearly about it, and it isn't even particularly for a pet. What happens is, when I maintain a spreadsheet, I circulate accounts every twice a year, every 6 months.
Every 6 months, everybody gets to see a spreadsheet?
Everybody who has given, everybody who has helped in some way.
Everybody's name is there?
No, I removed the names. I've removed, earlier I used to leave the names on, but it became a problem because people started judging each other and saying, oh, this one gave so much, that one gave so much. Or when I asked, she didn't give me, and this and that. And then somebody else saw the spreadsheet and then started asking me for funds from a different area and all that. And that to huge amounts. When I had a balance of 6,500, she asked me for 35,000. So
for what?
For her own dogs, for her own pet dog sterilization at Cessna. She said she wanted 35,000. So then I realized it's not a good idea to send it to all and sundry, and not a good idea to put names. So I've now started hiding the name column. But I do spread, and so this is the interesting thing. The moment I send out the spreadsheet to people, they suddenly think, oh, maybe I should be giving. And then immediately, the moment I send the spreadsheet, promptly a few people give money.
Really?
So anyway, fortunately, we have not been short of funds. And as I told you, ours are all very, very modestly treated. Like people, like they treat tick fever, for example. It works out very expensive to treat, the medication and all that. We have also done a lot of jugaad stuff. I buy a lot of medicines from the Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendra. It's 1/5 of the price when you buy antibiotics. It's all over the place. Just Google Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendra near me. Tons of them in Bangalore. So antibiotics and all that I buy over there.
For pets?
Yeah, it's the same antibiotic that you're using, doxycycline, cefodoxime, standard ones.
Oh.
So whatever I can get, if I can get an equivalent in Jan Aushadhi, I just buy it there because much, much cheaper. Because
is there any information available on internet for people to
product
find out
search? Yeah.
Including
this is what I
products?
do for human medicines, for my parents, for myself, for the dogs, everything. When the doctor writes a prescription, I Google it to see what the generic ingredient is. And then Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendra website has a search, product search. You have to put in the generic name. So for example, if the doctor writes Cefpet, okay, so then I Google what Cefpet is, that is cefodoxime. So then I put cefodoxime in the Jan Aushadhi product search. And it shows me that they have it. So then I go to the nearest Jan Aushadhi and pick it up from there.
Without doctor prescription?
Well, you can show the doctor's prescription.
You can get it verified.
Cefpet, he's a pharmacist. The guy who runs Jan Aushadhi is a pharmacist. He knows that it is cefodoxime. So he will give it to you. So that's not a problem.
Okay.
And generally, I think in India, in general, it's easier to get antibiotics. Sleeping tablets, nobody will give you just like that. But antibiotics, usually people understand nobody's taking it just like that. So similarly, if they write doxypet, it is doxycycline, then he'll realize that it is doxycycline, he'll give you the doxycycline. So
it's 1/5 of the cost.
For example, doxypet, I think, or even any doxycycline is like close to 100 rupees, for a strip of 10 tablets. Here it's 14 rupees. So it's a huge money saver.
114. Wow.
And the other jugaad things we do to save money, for example, tick fever I was talking about. If you have to give all the regular traditional syrups, of course, antibiotics you cannot help. So there again, I buy the doxycycline very cheap. I buy the Metrogel very cheap and all that. But there are some of these syrups which are expensive. And for the platelets and all that, it's basically a papaya extract. And you get those tablets, Caripel and all that. Instead, just use papaya leaves. Get hold of somebody. So that's why I make sure I have papaya plants growing at home so that I can use those leaves. I make a juice out of it and give it. The dog was perfectly recovered beautifully. For tick fever. So instead of Caripel tablet, I gave her the papaya juice extract.
How much
papaya
is the
leaf. Oh, I think it's 450 rupees for 10 tablets or something, Caripel. It's very expensive. And you can also get a syrup.
So the 10 pills is a course, the full course.
Yeah, you have to give it for 21 days. So it works out very expensive if you have to give the tablets. So if the tree is growing in my house, every year something or the other happens, then rains and all, they rot and they fall off. Then a new one comes up. I keep on throwing the papaya seeds into the garden. So whenever the little sapling comes up, then I keep using those leaves. So I don't grow the papaya tree for fruit at all, but I grow it for the leaves.
Have you put all this information anywhere for people to access?
Actually, I wish I did. Some friend of mine also wants to do this, and I should probably do it. I haven't done it, actually.
Please do it. Especially the medicine, the papaya.
You should probably remind me to do it, and I will
definitely
put it.
After the show, I think in the comment section, you will get a lot of people writing about it. Like, where can I find this medicine?
Right.
And all this
and the other way we save money, of course, is by fostering ourselves. And as I said, I take them to the veterinary hospital. I take them to Cupa Trauma Center. I'm very fortunate that I live right next to the trauma center. I mean, I'm just behind, right? It's an advantage.
So the recent Supreme Court ruling, right? How should it be interpreted?
Okay, so right now this is still an interim order. We don't know how much it's going to get refined. I'm very glad that they overturned what Justice Pardewala said, because it was just not practical. There's no way they could have, if they had really been able to catch all the dogs, they would have finished sterilizing them, right? As Mrs. Gandhi pointed out, there's no way. So I'm glad that they have finally woken up and understood ABC, understood the importance of ABC. And I always say Bangalore is not Delhi. In Bangalore, we are much better off than Delhi. Bangalore has an estimated population of about 2.7 lakh dogs. And about
stray dogs?
Yeah. And if you think that number is high, Delhi is really close to 10 lakhs, apparently. They say anywhere between, the official figure they say is 3, but everybody says it's more like 5. Some say it's more like 10 lakhs. That too, if you include all of, Noida, Gurgaon, all these places. And Bangalore is at approximately 70% neutered. So we have only 30% of that 2.7 lakhs left to go. Delhi is apparently at 20% done. That's also 80%. So 8 lakhs is still to be done. Can you imagine how bad that is? So this is why I always tell people prevention is better than cure. Start early.
But doesn't this wipe out the entire indie population?
No, never, because first of all, you will never catch 100% of the population. You will always have some number, because at those garbage piles, at graveyards, lake areas and all that, they're all very free roaming. It's impossible to catch 100%. And as long as you bring it down and maintain it, it's also necessary to have a bare minimum number. Right. So once upon a time, if you think about it, like 20 years ago, we had maybe one dog every 5 streets. In the whole neighborhood, every 5 streets, there would be one dog. Today, every street, you have 5 dogs. And it's not as simple as just the dogs multiplying. It's also because human population has increased, food consumption, wasted food, garbage has increased like crazy. We never had this amount of, earlier doggy will go, and similarly, people will eat chicken, they will leave the bones there. So this is how the doggy sniffs it out. And then people on top of it dump paper, banana peel, chicken, beer cans, everything tightly wrapped in a black bag so that nobody can see it, and they drop it at the corner. So the dog obviously goes, tears it because it can smell the chicken bones. Then it becomes a mess. So basically, if we were garbage segregated properly and managed it properly, I tell people, instead of putting it tightly in that bag, just put it on your terrace, or some crow will take it, or leave it out, some dog will take it. It's fine, it'll get cleared up automatically. But instead, you do all this mixing and then put it into a bag, then all the dogs start congregating at that pile, then it becomes then there's a big group, there are fights, all these things completely avoidable. So I think if the day we fix our garbage problem, we bring in discipline, the dog problem will automatically solve itself in a few years. Nice. They all become fertile because the food is available.
I never thought from this perspective. Very nice.
The food was available. That's why they kept multiplying. And that's why we now have to control the population.